Hey Destiny Chasers, it's your life and purpose coach Cassandra Bellevue coming at you on this fine Tuesday evening. And I just kind of had this revelation that I wanted to share with you guys. I just thought it was so interesting and so encouraging. For those of you who have been following the different pages, you know that we have this prophetic retreat that's going down next month. We're going to be in South Beach, Miami, out in the Art Deco District. And we're just doing this 3-day weekend thing where we are going to sit down and focus on our lives, our purpose, getting inner healing, basically becoming the best versions of ourselves. This is our opportunity to focus on us, self-care, boss up, and get ready for this next season, right? So I'm sitting on my couch, minding my own business, when the Holy Spirit starts talking to me about the retreat. And he says, you know, this retreat is a reset. Like, that's the word he used. This retreat is a reset. And I'm like, okay, I'm listening. And he's like, this retreat is really an invitation to level up. And so I'm like, yeah, it really is. So I'm just listening as he's just like downloading and pouring all this into me. And when I coach clients, I have clients that kind of fall in two different categories. You have the folks who they're just confused. They don't know what they're supposed to be doing. Like, what is my purpose? What is my call? I have no idea. Do I even have a purpose and calling? And for those folks, we have to break down a lot of just like wrong mindsets and kind of just deprogramming them from a lot of the lies the enemy has been feeding them for so long to get them back in tune with God, listening to what he's saying, and getting their marching orders, right? But the second category of coaching clients that come my way, these are people who already know their purpose and calling, right? And to some level, they're already operating in it, right? And what I love when I'm working with these folks is I'm just helping them to learn to transition and to pivot into different seasons. So what do I mean when I say that? Okay, so a perfect example, I'll use me for example. I know that one of the purpose and callings on my life, this is something that has been spoken over my life so many times through prophecy, through God telling me myself directly, is that the calling on my life is Isaiah 61 verses 1 through 4. And so I'm going to read those really quickly, and I'm going to use myself as an example here. So it says, the Spirit of the Sovereign Lord is upon me, for the Lord has anointed me to bring good news to the poor. He has sent me to bring comfort to the brokenhearted, to proclaim the captives will be released and prisoners will be freed. He has sent me to tell those who mourn that the time of the Lord's favor has come, and with it, the day of God's anger against their enemies. And then it talks about how, you know, he's coming to give us a crown of beauty for ashes and joyous blessing for mourning, how he's flipping the script on everything, right? And bringing restoration. Now, that's the calling on my life. But as the years has gone by, the way that that calling on my life has manifested has looked very different. So 20 years ago, what did that look like? I was in a corporate environment. God called me to start a Bible study during lunch breaks. So that's what I was doing. The season changed at one point, and then he was like, hey, you know, I want you to have this prayer. I literally had this little prayer box on my desk at work, and it was anonymous. And if you had prayer requests, just pop it in there. And I would come back from lunch some days and see that thing filled up, and I would pray. And these anonymous prayer requests, people would come back and be like, oh my gosh, I know I put that in there anonymously, but I just have to tell you, your prayers work. This is what happens. You know, it's still the same theme from Isaiah 61, 1 through 4, but the way it manifests is very different. In 2020, he had me write a book, Pressed But Not Crushed. That's still in line with that same destiny, calling, and purpose, but it's manifesting differently. In 2021, he had me get my life coaching certification. And he's like, you've been life coaching your whole life anyway, just get certified and get paid to do it. So my point is, in different seasons of life, the same purpose and calling has manifested in different ways. And so I really feel like I want to encourage those who may be feeling stuck. You know what your purpose and calling is, like you already know, but you're feeling like, what am I supposed to be doing now with it? You know, in the last season I did XYZ, but it doesn't look like that door's open anymore. And I just want you to know that that can look different in every season. So if you're feeling stuck and you're like, what's going on here? That could be it. And we want to help you at this Miracles in Miami retreat to pivot and figure out what it is you're supposed to be doing with that purpose and calling in this season. Now, here's where it gets really interesting. So he gave me this analogy of Esther, right? Or not an analogy, but he took me to the story of Esther as he's downloading all this to me. And he's like, do you remember Esther? She was an orphan and she had to go and stay with her uncle Mordecai. And basically what he was prepping me up, he's saying, not only does your destiny and purpose manifest differently in different seasons, he's like, your last season is the foundation for your next season, and you keep building upon it. So think of it like as a multi-layered cake, or think of it as a building with multiple stories. And then he starts talking to me about Esther. And he's like, Esther, she was orphaned. She had to go stay with her uncle Mordecai. People think like, oh, okay. Well, I believe that season was her destiny and purpose, the foundation of it being set off, right? She had to learn to listen to his authority. She had to learn to trust him and obey him and all these different things. Next thing you know, she's being put in the running to be the next queen after all that stuff happened with Queen Vashti got booted out. She went into this next season, same purpose and calling, even though maybe she didn't know what it was. And now she's being trained. Now, we talk all the time about the book of Esther, and it's like, oh, the baths and the perfumes and all the beauty treatments she had. But come on, they had to also have been training her on how to be a queen, right? Like, she wasn't supposed to just be this puppet and this beauty. So I feel like that was like another layer of her training, right? Boom, she gets selected by the king. Now she's Queen Esther. A lot of people would have looked at that situation and said, boom, she's made it. She's arrived. You did that, girl. Destiny, purpose fulfilled. Check. But that was just the beginning. She was a Jew that was put in that position. And if you're familiar with the story, you know what happened. So one day, she finds out that her uncle Mordecai is out at the gate in ashes and sackcloth, and he's mourning, blah, blah, blah. What is going on? She sends a messenger to find out. That's when, like, Haman's whole plan got exposed. And Mordecai is telling her, like, you got to go to the king and talk to him. And she's like, yo, I can't do that. You just don't roll up on the king. If he doesn't call for you and you just approach him, if he doesn't hand you his cup as like a peace offering, they will kill you on sight, right? And I love this part because Mordecai reminds her, and this is like in Esther chapter 4 verses 14 at the end, and it says, who knows if perhaps you were made queen for such a time as this. She was trained up and positioned to be where she needed to be to save an entire race of people. Sometimes the things that you're doing seem pointless, or you think like, why does this guy have me doing this? Why does he have me walking through this open door? This seems like busy work. Like, what is the point of all this? But all of it is just a foundation that is being set for the next level of where he has you. And that's why it's so important to step into obedience. You want to be in a place where he actually trusts you so he can give you the next assignment. He's not going to build on the next level until the foundation of the level underneath it is set in place. So every level cues you up for the next level. The next thing that the Lord kind of showed me, like I'm a very visual person, so he talks to me in analogies and pictures. He's reminding me of the boxer. When a boxer's in a boxing ring and when the round is over, they take those breaks. He goes back to the corner. What happens there? He gets refreshed. Usually water's being pumped into his mouth. He's getting healed up and bandaged up. Where's the blood? Where are the wounds? He's getting some first aid. And then the coach is there in the corner with him and he's giving him strategy. And he's like, hey, have you noticed this guy? He's telling him what he's noticing about the opponent. Hey, he does this before he does this. Like, look for those signs and those cues. Hey, he seems to be weak over here, jumping over there. And so the Lord was just showing me, like, that is what Miracles in Miami is all about. And you can take the same analogy for what happened to Esther. After Mordecai was like, yo, you got to go to the king. What happened? She pulled away. The next scripture says that, hey, she pulled away with her servants. They fasted and they prayed. And they basically had to come up with a game plan so that she can get ready. This is what Miracles in Miami is all about. It's that boxer. It's Esther pulling away, getting around like-minded people, getting poured into, refreshed, healed up, and getting the strategy for the next season. So I just really want to encourage you to be a part of what we're getting ready to do next month. The website is miraclesinmiami.com. propheticretreat.vanza.com. Come sign up. Early bird registration ends on the 25th. You don't want to miss out on this strategy for your next season. Love you guys. If you have any questions, DM me and we'll get those answers. Hopefully I'll see you in Miracles.